Sri Gurubhyo Namaha children. Welcome to Online Teaching Academy, Ekalaiva. Class 8, Social Science. In Geography, we are going to learn a lesson, Agriculture. So by learning this lesson, you will come to know about different types of farming, classification of major crops, practice of agriculture in India. So, agriculture, also called farming, refers to the cultivation of soil for growing crops and the rearing of livestock for food, wool, and other products. So, agriculture is an important economic activity around the world. Agriculture is a primary activity. That means extraction of raw materials from the surface of the earth. So, what is agriculture? It is nothing but farming. What is farming? It refers to the cultivation of soil for growing crops and rearing of cattle for food, wool, and other products. So it is a primary activity. What is primary activity? Extraction of raw materials from the surface of the earth. So extraction and production of natural resources like crops, fruits, vegetables, and animal products. So around 30% of the world population is engaged in agricultural activities. Even though we live in the industrial age, almost 30% of the world population is directly or indirectly engaged in agricultural activities. So it is the backbone of Indian economy and the largest provider of livelihood. That is, the people who live in the villages depend on agriculture for their livelihood. To lead their life, they involve themselves in the agriculture, especially in rural areas. And it depends on number of factors like climate. So, what climate is suitable for agriculture? Humid, hot and humid climate is suitable for good agricultural development. And it depends on the soil also. The soil should be fertile to produce crops. Relief. What is relief? That is, low lands are suitable for agriculture. That is, lands of near river basins or lands in deltas and flooded plains are very much suitable for growing crops. And size of holding also matters in agriculture. And good transport facilities should be there for the agricultural development. That is, the produce which are produced in the agricultural fields have to be transported to the market. So, transport facilities are very much needed for the agricultural development and availability of loans to the farmers. And methods of farming also plays an important role in the agricultural development. And what is the process of farming? A farmer has to plow the field, sow the seeds, irrigate the land, add fertilizers, protect the crop from pests. You can see the picture here. See, the farmer is plowing his field. Can you see here? Through a machine, through a tractor. So, this is called plowing. And he has to weed out the unwanted plants. So first he has to plow the field, that is he has to make the soil fit for cultivation. That is called plowing. Okay, that small stones, everything that will be broken when you plow the field. The soil will be reversed. It will upside down. That is, the farmer will make the soil, will bring the soil up and down to make it fit for the cultivation. And he has to weed out the unwanted plants. And finally, harvesting is done. After the harvest, the grains are stored and then they are transported to the market where it will be sold to the consumer. Here comes the intermediaries. The farmers sell their produce to the intermediaries who transport and sell it to the final consumers. This is the process of farming. What are the types of farming? Subsistence farming, commercial farming, and dairy farming. What is subsistence? The farmer produces for his family requirement, only for the family consumption. It is not sold to others. That is called a subsistence farming. So the products, the crops are produced for their family consumption. And the size of holding a plot of land also will be small. And here in this subsistence farming, only the family members alone are involved in producing the crops. And they use simple tools and do not employ the external labor. So only family members alone are allowed to engage in the agriculture. No external employee or no external laborers are involved in the subsistence farming. And this subsistence farming can again be classified into primitive subsistence and intensive subsistence. What is primitive subsistence? Under this method, the farmers rear livestock and grow crops. So simultaneously, they grow crops as well as they rear cattle to meet their personal needs. That is to get milk from the cattle and to get meat, to get wool. Cattle are reared by the farmers as well as they grow crops in their fields. The tools and methods used are basic. And intensive subsistence means it is a kind of subsistence farming only. That is, they use the produce produced in the agricultural fields only for their own consumption. They do not sell in the market. But the plot which is used is small and more labor are involved than the primitive farmers, than the primitive subsistence. So this is a type of farming where a farmer cultivates a small plot of land using basic tools, fertilizers, but more labor than used by the primitive farmers. Here in the subsistence farming, two or more crops are grown in a year by these farmers. And this is also, it is consumed by uh, family only, it is not sold in the market. Again, this primitive subsistence is divided into nomadic farming and shifting agriculture. We will see what is nomadic farming. So, it is the practice of raising livestock by herd or by a group of people or by tribes who move from one place to another with their families and livestock. So, they move from one place to another along with their family members and along with their cattle in search of fodder, pastures, that is grasslands and water. So the animals which are reared by them provide them milk, wool, hides, meat and other products. This is called nomadic farming. That is, they move from one place to another in search of pastures and fodder for animal and water. So they will stay in that particular place. Once the grazing is over by the animals, again they will move to another place to lead their livelihood, to get their livelihood. This is called nomadic farming. Next one is shifting agriculture. So this is another method of agriculture. What is shifting agriculture? It is the system of farming in which small plots of forest or small patches of forest are cleared by cutting the trees and bushes and burning them. Once they are burnt, the ash which we get from burning of trees is added to the fertility of the soil. So the ash from the burnt trees adds to the fertility of the soil and this land is then used for growing crops. So here the soil becomes fertile after the ash from the burnt trees are added to the soil. So they'll grow some crops like potato, yam, all those things. And once the soil loses its fertility, they'll move on to another patch of forest. Again, they'll cut the forest. Again, the ash is added to the soil. Soil becomes fertile, so they can grow crops there. So this practice continues. It is also known as slash and burn method of cultivation. Once the soil loses its fertility, they'll move on to another patch of forest and continue the same method of farming. This is called shifting agriculture. And what is commercial farming? It is carried out on large plots of land, huge machines are used, huge amount of capital is needed because it is done for the purpose of selling the produce produced in the land. So the output is mainly for sale in the market, not only for own consumption. It is driven largely by profit. So you can see a huge machines is used for harvesting purposes. And commercial farming is again classified into mixed farming, commercial grain farming, plantation agriculture. What is mixed farming? They are in this practice, food crops are grown, fodder crops are grown, as well as farmers raise the livestock also simultaneously on the same land. So it is the practice of growing food crops and fodder crops for animals as well as livestock also are raised to get milk, meat, hides and other animal products. And what is commercial grain farming? So in this large farms are used and it involves the huge usage of huge machines such as seed drillers, harvesters and threshers. You can see the seed driller here and here is the harvesters. See the large size of the machines. The bulk of the grain produced is sold in the global market. So the produce are sold worldwide. And we'll move on to plantation agriculture. Here, a single crop is grown on a large scale. So cultivation of a single crop such as coffee, here single crop is grown on a large scale. So you can say the example of coffee plantation, tea plantation, sugarcane plantation, rubber estates, banana plantation for profit, for selling them on a large scale. It involves large amount of capital, more labor, managerial skill, technical skill and an efficient transport network is very important because it is produced on a large scale and it has to be transported to the market. So transportation facility is very important in this plantation agriculture. Next, dairy farming. It is the practice of rearing of cattle on large farms to obtain milk and animal products. It involves the use of scientific techniques and huge capital investments. So milking, feeding the animals, cleaning the animals are done by machines here. Okay. So we have completed this session, children. Thank you very much. Uh, to receive these online lessons, press the subscribe button and get the latest updates. Thank you.